I had planned to leave the company and start a new job, until my boss, who had just denied me a promotion, suddenly begged me to stay. They said I wasn't ready for senior management, but within 2 weeks, I made them realize this company couldn't survive without me. And when the moment of revenge came, I smiled so calmly. My name is Claire Dawson, and that gray Portland morning would become the turning point of my career, though not in the way anyone expected. I sat across from Vivian Hart, my direct supervisor, watching her flip through my promotion portfolio with the same casual indifference she'd show a takeout menu. The corner office behind her, the one that should have been mine, seemed to mock me with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Willamette River. "Claire," Vivian finally said, closing the folder with a soft thud, "you're an excellent operations manager. Really, you are. But senior management requires different qualities." I kept my expression neutral, a skill I'd perfected over 8 years at Vanguard Synergy Group. "Which qualities would those be?" She leaned back in her leather chair, the one that cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. "Leadership presence, strategic vision, the ability to see beyond day-to-day operations." The words hung in the air like a bad joke. This was the same woman who called me at 11:45 p.m. when the Bradford Technologies integration went sideways. The same one who had me rewrite her quarterly presentations because she couldn't find the right tone. The same supervisor who'd taken credit for my customer satisfaction metrics at last year's executive summit. "I've saved 3 major contracts this quarter alone," I said, my voice steady despite the anger building in my chest. "Our department has the highest client retention rate in the company. I haven't taken a real vacation in 2 years because—" "And we appreciate your dedication," Vivian interrupted, her manicured nails tapping against the desk. "But maybe that's part of the problem. You're too deep in the weeds, Claire. Senior leaders delegate. They don't micromanage every detail." Micromanage. The word almost made me laugh. I wasn't micromanaging, I was keeping this entire operation from collapsing while she attended wine tastings disguised as networking events. "So what's your recommendation?" I asked. "Give it another year, maybe 2. Show us you can step back. Let others handle the tactical work. In the meantime," she slid a manila folder across the desk, "I need you to take point on the Meridian acquisition. It's urgent." Of course it was. Everything became urgent when it landed on my desk. I picked up the folder, feeling its weight another 60-hour week, another project that would succeed under my leadership but be celebrated under her name. "I'll review it this afternoon. Actually, I need an initial assessment by end of day. The executives are meeting tomorrow morning at 8. I stood, smoothing my blazer. "I'll have it ready." "I knew I could count on you," Vivian said, already turning her attention to her computer screen. "Close the door on your way out. Would you—" Walking back to my desk, I passed the break room where 2 junior analysts were complaining about the coffee maker, the same one I'd fixed 3 times, because maintenance couldn't figure out the error code. I passed the conference room where I'd spent countless hours walking clients through system integrations that our sales team had overpromised. I passed the empty cubicles of employees who'd left for better opportunities, employees I'd trained, mentored, and watched flourish elsewhere. The elevator ride down to the parking garage gave me exactly 90 seconds of solitude, 90 seconds to process the rejection, the condescension, the sheer absurdity of being told I lacked leadership qualities by someone who couldn't lead a team meeting without a scripted agenda I'd written. In my car, I stared at my reflection in the rearview mirror, 38 years old, with silver streaks I'd earned managing crisis after crisis, and laugh lines from maintaining professionalism when I wanted to scream. But this time, something had shifted. The disappointment that usually drove me to work harder had crystallized into something else entirely. Calculation. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to the vacation request I'd submitted for next month, a week in Hawaii with my son Nathan, our first real trip in 3 years. My thumb hovered over the cancel button. Then I thought about Vivian's words. Too deep in the weeds. Micromanaging. Fine, let's see how well the garden grows without its gardener. I canceled the vacation request, not because I was giving up, quite the opposite. I needed to be here to watch everything unfold. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table with a glass of wine, Nathan doing homework beside me. For the first time in months, I wasn't checking emails or reviewing reports. Instead, I was making a different kind of list. Mom, you're smiling weird, Nathan observed, looking up from his math problems. Am I? I took another sip of wine. Just thinking about work. But you hate work thoughts. You always get that line between your eyebrows. Smart kid. I reached over and ruffled his hair. Sometimes work thoughts can be interesting. My list was simple but comprehensive. Every undocumented process I managed, every client relationship I maintained through personal cell phone calls and off-the-record conversations, every system workaround I'd created to compensate for our outdated infrastructure, every fire I put out before it could reach Vivian's desk. The daily operations report I'd been sending for 3 years, the one that kept everyone aligned on priorities and deadlines, that was never part of my official job description, the vendor relationships I'd cultivated. Those were built on trust and my personal guarantee of quality. The junior staff who came to me instead of their direct supervisors, they did so because I actually solved problems instead of delegating them into oblivion. I closed my laptop and turned off my work phone. The little red light blinked once more before going dark. 17 unread messages already. They could wait until 9 a.m. tomorrow. Exactly 9, not 8:45 like usual, not 8:30 to get a head start. 9. Want to help me make dinner? I asked Nathan. His eyes widened. You're cooking like actual cooking. Don't act so shocked. I used to cook all the time before. Before I became indispensable. Before I convinced myself that the company's success was my personal responsibility. Before I forgot that employment was a transaction, not a marriage. We made spaghetti carbonara, and I only checked my personal phone twice. Nathan told me about his science project, something about renewable energy that I actually had time to understand and discuss. We watched a movie after dinner, the entire movie, credits and all, without me multitasking on my laptop. At 10:30 p.m., my personal phone rang. Vivian's number. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again, then a text. Claire, urgent issue with Bradford. Please call ASAP. I turned the phone face down and went to brush my teeth. In the mirror, I practiced my new mantra. I do what I'm paid to do. Nothing more, nothing less. The next morning, I arrived at the office at 8:59 a.m. The security guard did a double take. Running late this morning, Ms. Dawson. Right on time, Marcus, I replied, scanning my badge. The elevator ride up felt different when you weren't the first one in the office. The floor was already buzzing with activity, or more accurately, panic. I could see it in the hurried movements, the clustered conversations, the frantic typing. My desk phone was blinking with voicemails. My computer showed 43 unread emails marked urgent. The Meridian folder sat exactly where I'd left it yesterday, unopened. I calmly made myself a cup of coffee, added the cream and sugar I usually skipped in my morning rush, and sat down at 9:08. The first email was from Vivian, sent at 11:47 p.m. Where are you? Bradford is threatening to pull their contract. Need immediate response. The second, at 12:15 a.m. Claire, this is unacceptable. Call me. The third, at 6:45 a.m. We'll discuss your lack of response in our meeting today. I opened the Meridian folder and began my review. It was a mess, as expected. Unrealistic timelines, underestimated resources, overpromised deliverables, the kind of deal that would require 60-hour weeks and personal miracles to salvage. I typed up my assessment, honest and unvarnished, exactly as requested. No suggestions for improvement, no volunteering to lead the rescue mission, just facts. At 9:30 a.m., Vivian appeared at my desk, her usually perfect composure showing cracks. Claire, didn't you get my messages about Bradford? I looked up from my screen, taking a deliberate sip of coffee before responding. I don't check work messages after hours anymore. I'm focusing on work-life balance, as you suggested. Her mouth opened, then closed. But Bradford is a critical client. They are, I agreed, returning to my typing. I'm sure the account management team is handling it. The account management team doesn't know the details of their system integration. That's concerning, I said mildly. Perhaps they should be better documented. Vivian's face flushed. I need you to call them, now. I pulled up my calendar. I have the Meridian assessment due by end of day, and 3 scheduled meetings this afternoon. I could possibly fit in a call tomorrow morning. Tomorrow. Her voice pitched higher. Claire, they're threatening to cancel an $18 million contract. Then it sounds like a senior leadership issue, I said, meeting her eyes. As you mentioned yesterday, I need to step back from the tactical work and let others handle it. I wouldn't want to micromanage. The silence stretched between us, heavy with unspoken implications. Around us, I could hear the rising tide of chaos phones ringing, urgent conversations, the sound of a well-oiled machine grinding to a halt. Vivian straightened her jacket. We'll discuss this later. As she walked away, I allowed myself a small smile. The garden was already starting to wilt, and I'd barely begun pulling back the water. By day 3, the cracks had become chasms. I arrived at my usual new time, 9 a.m. sharp, to find my colleague Derek hovering near my desk, clutching a stack of papers like a life preserver. Claire, thank God, he breathed. The compliance reports for the quarter are due today, and I can't find the templates anywhere. Have you checked the shared drive? I asked, setting down my coffee. I've looked everywhere. You usually send them out with instructions every quarter, but I hadn't this time. Those templates were my creation, refined over years to meet our specific regulatory requirements. The instructions were stored in my personal organization system, not the company's chaotic shared folders. The original forms should be on the regulatory website, I offered helpfully. Just follow their guidelines. Derek's face paled. The original forms, but those take hours to fill out. Your templates had all the formulas built in, the automatic calculations. I'm sure you'll figure it out, I said, turning to my computer. I need to focus on my assigned projects. He lingered for a moment, perhaps hoping I'd cave, before trudging away. Within an hour, I heard him on a confused call with our legal department, trying to interpret requirements I'd long since memorized. Around 10:30 a.m., Miranda from sales burst through the department like a tornado. Where's the Bradford account status? They're calling me every hour, and I have no idea what to tell them. 3 people pointed to my desk simultaneously. Claire doesn't handle tactical issues anymore, I said without looking up. Vivian made it clear I need to focus on strategic initiatives. Strategic initiatives, Miranda's voice cracked. Claire, they want to know about specific system configurations that only you understand. I finally met her gaze. Then perhaps someone should have documented that knowledge. I sent numerous emails over the past year suggesting we create a proper knowledge base. By noon, the whispers had turned into open panic. The Bradford contract wasn't the only fire burning. Without my daily operations report, departments were miscommunicating on deadlines. A critical server update had been missed because I wasn't there to remind it about the maintenance window I'd negotiated with our clients. 2 new hires sat idle because no one else knew the workaround for our broken onboarding system. I ate lunch in the cafeteria instead of at my desk, another first. Watched the chaos from a distance while enjoying a salad I actually tasted. Mind if I sit? He collapsed into the chair. Claire, what's going on? You've gone completely dark. No morning check-ins, no status updates, no heads up about potential issues. I'm focusing on my core responsibilities, I replied, avoiding micromanagement. Micromanagement. He laughed bitterly. You were the only one keeping us coordinated. Do you know how many redundant tickets we have now? How many critical issues are buried in the queue because you're not flagging them? I speared a piece of lettuce. Sounds like a process problem. It's an everything problem, he said. Look, I get it. Vivian's been taking credit for your work for years. We all see it. But punishing the rest of us? I'm not punishing anyone, I interrupted. I'm doing exactly what my supervisor instructed. Stepping back, letting others handle the tactical work, developing my strategic vision. He stared at me. And what's your strategic vision? I smiled. That systems built on single points of failure are inherently flawed. By 3 p.m., Vivian had called an emergency all-hands meeting. The conference room was packed, tension thick enough to cut. She stood at the head of the table, her usual polished appearance showing signs of wear hair slightly mussed, lipstick faded, the kind of details she'd normally never let slip. We're facing some challenges, she began. Understatement of the year. Bradford is reconsidering their contract. Compliance reports are delayed. Several critical projects are behind schedule. Silence. Everyone carefully avoided looking at me. I need solutions, Vivian continued. Ideas? Anyone? Derek raised a tentative hand. We could hire consultants to help with the compliance reports. Consultants cost money, Vivian snapped. Other ideas? Maybe if we had better documentation, Miranda suggested, shooting me a meaningful look. We don't have time to build documentation now, Vivian said. We need immediate fixes. More silence. I continued taking notes on my tablet, jotting down observations about crisis management and communication failures, strategic thinking, just as requested. Finally, Vivian's composure cracked. Claire, you've been unusually quiet. No suggestions. I looked up, meeting her gaze calmly. I wouldn't want to overshadow others with tactical solutions. I'm trying to develop my leadership presence, as you advised. Someone coughed. A few people shifted uncomfortably. This is not the time for... Vivian started, then stopped herself. Meeting adjourned. Department heads, stay behind. As people filed out, I heard fragments of conversation. Never seen it this bad. Didn't realize how much she... Whole place is falling apart. I returned to my desk and continued working on the Meridian assessment. My phone buzzed with a text from Nathan. Mom, can we have pizza tonight? Absolutely, I texted back. Your choice of toppings. For the first time in years, I was leaving at 5 p.m., and I had dinner plans that didn't involve a laptop on the side. The emergency meeting with department heads had clearly not gone well. Through the glass walls of the conference room, I could see Vivian gesticulating wildly while others sat with their heads in their hands. At 5:15 p.m., they were still there. I was already at the pizza place with Nathan when my phone started buzzing. 3 missed calls from Vivian, 2 from Gregory Miles, the regional vice president, 1 from Miranda. You're popular tonight, Nathan commented, glancing at my phone. Just work stuff, I said, turning it face down. Now, you said something about extra pepperoni. The next morning, I walked into what looked like a war zone. Empty coffee cups littered desks. Several people were wearing the same clothes as yesterday, and the printer was making an ominous grinding noise that meant someone had tried to force a paper jam instead of properly clearing it. At 9:05 a.m., I found Gregory Miles sitting in Vivian's office. Both turned to look at me as I passed. Claire, Gregory called out, could you join us? I checked my watch. I have a 9:30 with the Meridian team. This is more important, he said. It wasn't a request. I entered and took the seat across from them, maintaining a pleasant, neutral expression. Gregory didn't waste time on pleasantries. We're about to lose Bradford Technologies. That's unfortunate, I said. Unfortunate. His eyebrows rose. It's an $18 million contract, 20% of this department's revenue. Yes, I'm aware of the numbers. He leaned forward. Vivian tells me you have a unique relationship with their implementation team. I've worked with them extensively, I confirmed. Then why haven't you reached out? Why aren't you managing this crisis? I tilted my head slightly. I was told quite clearly that I lack the leadership qualities for senior management, that I'm too deep in the tactical details. I'm simply following guidance to develop more strategic thinking. Gregory's jaw tightened. He turned to Vivian. Is this true? Vivian's face flushed. I was providing developmental feedback. I never said she should abandon critical client relationships. Actually, I interjected calmly, you specifically said I need to step back and let others handle tactical work. Client management seems quite tactical to me. This is ridiculous, Gregory said. Claire, I need you to get on the phone with Bradford, now. I'll need to reschedule my existing commitments, I said. And of course, this is outside my current job description. Will this be reflected in my performance review or my compensation? The room went very still. Are you seriously negotiating right now? Vivian hissed. I'm seeking clarity on expectations, I replied. After all, my last review indicated I wasn't meeting leadership standards despite exceeding every metric. I want to ensure we're aligned on what constitutes success. Gregory's face was unreadable. What do you need to fix this? To fix Bradford. A phone call. Probably, maybe 2. But that's not really the issue, is it? I leaned back slightly. The issue is that this department runs on invisible work, knowledge that isn't documented, relationships that aren't transitioned, processes that exist only in my head because every time I tried to formalize them, I was told we didn't have time or budget. So document them now, Vivian said through gritted teeth. While also managing my regular workload and fixing Bradford and handling the compliance audit that Derek is struggling with and the 3 other fires that started this week. I shook my head. That sounds like a job for someone at a much higher pay grade. Gregory was quiet for a long moment. What's your solution? I'm considering an offer from Pinnacle Systems, I said evenly. Director of Operations, 40% salary increase, full team of 12. They seem to believe I'm ready for senior management. Vivian's face went white. You're bluffing. I pulled out my phone and showed them the email from Pinnacle's recruiter. The offer was real. I'd been sitting on it for 2 weeks, planning to decline after my promotion came through. When do they need an answer? Gregory asked. End of week. He stood abruptly. Fix Bradford. Document your critical processes, then we'll talk. I'll fix Bradford, I agreed. The documentation will require overtime authorization and a clear project plan. I won't work 60-hour weeks anymore without compensation. Gregory looked at Vivian, then back at me. Fine, whatever you need. Just fix this mess. After he left, Vivian and I sat in silence. You planned this, she said finally. I plan to get promoted based on merit, I corrected. This is improvisation. I could fire you for insubordination. You could try, I agreed. But we both know that would make things worse, not better. You don't even know which shared drive contains the real client files versus my decoy folders with outdated information. Her eyes widened. Decoy folders. Insurance, I said, standing. Against exactly this situation. Don't worry, I'll fix Bradford. But Vivian, we're not done here. I returned to my desk and dialed Bradford's implementation lead. As expected, he picked up on the first ring. Claire, thank God. Where have you been? Everything's falling apart without your daily updates. I heard you're unhappy with our service, I said warmly. Tell me what's happening. 20 minutes later, the crisis was resolved. A miscommunication about deployment windows. Complicated by the absence of my usual preemptive troubleshooting, I provided the clarification, suggested a remedy, and promised to personally oversee the next phase. Can we count on that? He asked. Your personal involvement. That depends on some internal discussions, I said honestly. But either way, I'll ensure you're taken care of. I hung up and typed a brief email to Gregory. Bradford's situation resolved. They'll sign the renewal if I personally guarantee oversight. Your move. Then I pulled up my documentation files, the real ones, from my personal cloud storage and began making a list. Every process, every relationship, every piece of tribal knowledge that kept this place running. The price for that information had just gone up significantly. Within an hour of my email, Gregory appeared at my desk personally, not summoning me to his office, but coming to my territory. The power dynamics had shifted, and we both knew it. Let's talk in conference room C, he said. Not Vivian's office, not his, neutral ground. I grabbed my tablet and followed. He'd chosen the small conference room, the one without glass walls, private, serious. Gregory didn't sit. Instead, he stood by the window, looking out at the Portland skyline. I've been regional VP for 6 years, he began. I thought I knew how this department ran. I remained silent, letting him fill the space. The last 3 days have been educational. He turned to face me. You've built something here. Not just processes or systems, but an entire shadow infrastructure that apparently keeps us functional. I did what needed doing, I said simply. While Vivian took the credit, it wasn't a question. Vivian managed up effectively, I said diplomatically. I managed down and sideways. He almost smiled at that. Tell me about the Pinnacle offer. I pulled up the details on my tablet, sliding it across the table. He read in silence, his expression growing more concerned with each line. They're offering you a team, he noted. Authority to restructure operations. Direct report to their C-suite. Everything I was told I wasn't ready for here, I confirmed. He pushed the tablet back. What would it take to keep you? That's the wrong question, I said. The right question is what needs to change so this never happens again. Gregory settled into a chair, gesturing for me to continue. Every critical process in this department runs through me, I explained. Not because I'm a control freak, but because I'm the only one who bothered to learn them when it couldn't figure out the Bradford integration. I spent my own weekend getting certified in their systems. When legal needed someone who understood compliance requirements, I took online courses. When sales overpromised, I figured out how to deliver. And you were never compensated for this expanded scope, Gregory said. I was told it was other duties as assigned, that being a team player would lead to advancement. Instead, I watched people I trained get promoted over me. I listened to Vivian present my solutions as her strategies. I accepted it because I believed in the work. What changed? Tuesday, I said. When Vivian told me I lacked leadership qualities while assigning me another crisis to solve, she genuinely couldn't see the contradiction. Gregory was quiet for a moment. I'm prepared to create a new position. Director of Operational Excellence, reporting directly to me. You'd have authority to hire 3 senior analysts and build a proper knowledge management system. 60% salary increase. It was more than pinnacle, more than I'd dreamed of asking for. But what about Vivian? She remains in her role, Gregory said carefully, but she'd be your peer, not your superior. That's not enough, I said. His eyebrows rose. You want her fired? No, I said firmly. I want her to learn. I want mandatory management training for anyone who oversees more than 5 people. I want a formal mentorship program, so knowledge doesn't get hoarded. I want documentation time built into project budgets, not treated as overhead, and I want monthly skip-level meetings so you hear directly from contributors, not just managers. Gregory leaned back. You've thought about this. For years, I admitted. I kept hoping someone else would see the problems and fix them, but they couldn't see them because I kept preventing the failures. And this week? This week I stopped preventing them. He laughed, surprising us both. Remind me never to get on your bad side. This isn't my bad side, I said. This is my strategic side, the one Vivian said I lacked. Point taken. He pulled out his phone. I need to make some calls. Legal will want to draw up a formal offer. Can you keep things stable for another 48 hours? I can keep Bradford happy and ensure compliance reports get filed, I offered. But I won't go back to 60-hour weeks, and I won't pretend everything is fine. Fair enough, he stood, then paused. The decoy folders that was inspired. Self-preservation, I corrected. When you're the only one who knows how things work, you become either invaluable or invisible. I got tired of being invisible. After he left, I returned to my desk to find a small crowd dispersed around it, clearly having been waiting for news. Derek looked particularly anxious. Are you staying? He asked. To be determined, I said. But either way, things are going to change. Good changes, Miranda asked hopefully. Necessary changes, I said. Starting with proper documentation and cross-training, no more single points of failure. Including you, James from it asked. Especially me, I confirmed, but at a level appropriate to my new role and compensation. Word spread quickly, within an hour. Vivian appeared at my desk, her professional mask firmly in place. I heard congratulations are in order, she said stiffly. Nothing's final yet, I replied. Gregory seems quite determined to retain you, she paused, choosing her words carefully. I suppose I should apologize. For what, specifically? Her mask slipped slightly. You know what for. I really don't, I said calmly. For undervaluing my contributions, for taking credit for my work, for telling me I wasn't ready for a promotion while desperately depending on my expertise. You'll need to be more specific. She flushed. For not recognizing your readiness for advancement. That's a start, I said. But Vivian, this isn't really about you and me. It's about a broken system that rewards the wrong behaviors. We're going to fix that. I'm not interested in revenge, I said, meaning it. I'm interested in building something better. You can be part of that, or you can resist, your choice. She studied me for a long moment. You've changed. No, I said. I just stopped hiding it. The Bradford crisis call was scheduled for 2 p.m. I arrived 5 minutes early to find the conference room already full. Gregory, Vivian, Miranda from sales, and 3 members of Bradford's leadership team on the screen. "Claire, excellent," Gregory said. "We were just explaining the situation." I took my seat and smiled at the screen. "Tom, Sarah, Marcus, good to see you all, even under these circumstances." "Claire." Tom's relief was palpable. "When we couldn't reach you, we thought something had happened." "Just some internal restructuring," I said smoothly. "I understand you have concerns about the Phase 3 implementation." "Concerns?" Sarah laughed sharply. "Claire, our entire eastern region is operating on manual processes